Hi friends! So today I'm going to be doing a story time video, and today I want to talk about Liam's birth. This is something that I don't recall ever talking to you guys about. I know, at least I think I know that you guys know that I had a C-section with him, but I think that's the most that I've kind of talked about my birth. So I'm going to start from the beginning and go all the way to the end. Bear with me, some of this stuff's kind of gruesome. I don't believe I'm going to share pictures during this, but I just kind of wanted to tell you guys about my experience with the birth of my son Liam, who is now 2.5. I was 17 when I got pregnant with him. I was 18 when I had him. I was always measuring big during my pregnancy. Liam was. Liam is my son, and he was always measuring like a week or two ahead, and my belly was so big, it was unbelievable. I will insert a picture right now of what my belly looked like at 40 weeks, which was my due date. Isn't that crazy? Huge. Let me tell you, huge. My due date was May 1st, and I did not end up having him until May 4th, which is actually crazy enough my dad's birthday. And even crazier is that's my dad's grandma's birthday also, so it's like an every other generation thing. But going into more detail, I had reached my due date and I was not having any contractions whatsoever. I did not have any pressure. Like I knew that I had dropped and that he was getting down there, and I knew it was going to be time soon because obviously it was my due date, but I did not feel like I was going to be going into labor anytime soon. So the following day, it was a Thursday because I counted Thursdays for like every week, and the next day was a Friday, so I was 40 weeks and 1 day pregnant, and that was my 40-week checkup, my OB appointment with my midwife. And we went in and she checked me, and previous to this, I think like when I was 38 weeks, she had stripped my membranes, but it didn't really do anything. And I had gone home and I had tried to use my breast pump to try to help stimulate contractions like my midwife had said, and I tried bouncing in a ball, I tried going on walks, and it just, nothing was really helping progress it. And so at my 40-week appointment, which I was 40 weeks and 1 day, like I had said, she checked me and I was dilated to a 2. So I had gained 1 centimeter, which was not impressive to me at all, but I was happy with it. I believe that I was like 75% effaced or maybe even 100% effaced, somewhere like that. I can't exactly remember. But she stripped my membranes again. And hold on, let me back up here for a second. It was crazy because the day before, Kayla, my older sister, she told me that she knew that Friday that at my appointment that was going to be the day that I was admitted. She's like, nope, I have to come with you at your appointment because they're going to admit you, you're going to have the baby then. And I was like, holy crap, like, how do you think you know this? But she was actually right, and she just had a gut feeling. And whenever I gave birth to Liam, I did have my mom and my older sister Kayla in the room. Kayla is a photographer, and so she did take lots of pictures, and my mom helped videotape, and it was a really fun experience. So back to the story. So after she swept my membranes, she told me to go for a walk. She told me to walk around for 1 hour and to come back upstairs, and that if I was dilated to any more, that they would admit me. Well, as I was walking, like, I started having just little contractions. It really wasn't anything big, wasn't anything like that I felt was, okay, seriously, bug? It wasn't anything that I really felt was like making a difference or progressing my labor any. I thought that it was just because she had stripped my membranes, because that's the exact same thing that had happened the first time she had stripped my membranes. And then they just kind of went away. But when I went back upstairs, she checked me, and I believe I was dilated to a 3. And so she's like, well, you are progressing, you're having little contractions, let's get you upstairs, let's get you admitted, and let's have you start walking. And my appointment was at like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And after walking around for like 2 hours and I was still dilated to a 3, my midwife decided to break my water. Did have my son at a hospital. I was going to have a water birth, was my original plan, with him at the hospital just in case of any complications, but my main goal was just to have a water birth. I wanted it so bad. So when she broke my water, like, do you guys know what crocheting hooks look like? Like, they're like yay long, whatever. Well, she had like a giant one. It was like that long and it had a huge hook at the end, and she just reached up in there. I didn't even feel it, and she grabbed under the sack and she pulled it, and she broke my water. And you know, like those puke bags that you could puke in the hospital, like if you're sick, they were like holding them up to my butt, like while the water was gushing out. It was really, really funny, and like I just kept laughing from it because I felt like I was peeing because there was just so much amniotic fluid, so much water, and I was laughing, and like with every time that I would laugh, like it would like squirt out more. Oh my god, it was so funny. Total TMI, but it was really funny. And after that, things kind of slowed down. They had me get up and walk, and I walked all night long, all night long, all night long. My sister and my mom were on shifts, and Kayla walked with me. I think it was until like midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that, and then it was supposed to be my mom's turn. Well, my mom would not get up because she was too tired, so... Or wait, no. It was Kayla's turn first, and then it was my mom's turn, and my mom went back to bed. And Kayla and I walked until like 4 in the morning-ish, somewhere in there. And then it was supposed to be like my mom's turn, and so my mom was supposed to get up and walk with me, but she didn't. So I walked around by myself until like 5 in the morning, and then the doctors checked me again. I believe at that time I was a 4, but my contractions really weren't anything intense. I really wasn't progressing the way that my body needed to be. And so the doctor actually the night before had told me like that evening that if by morning I still wasn't contracting hard, that she wanted to put me on Pitocin. And she had came and checked on me a couple times throughout the night, and I just wasn't progressing like I was supposed to be. And so at like 5 or 6 in the morning, they had me go back into my room. They hooked me up to the Pitocin, and like within an hour, I think it was like 7 in the morning or something like that, that I woke up, and the contractions were so bad. They wanted to get me on like 21, whatever it is, like per hour, and I was at 9, and I was screaming at them to shut it off because my contractions were back to back. But the good thing is that it progressed it really fast. I believe that the next time that they had checked me that I was dilated to a 7. And I, at that point, like, was having so much pressure. It was unbelievable. And I literally thought that, like, he was going to be born very, very soon. And so I asked them to get the birthing pool ready. And I had tried to go walking down the hallway. I could not do it. It was just too hard on me. I couldn't even make it like partially down the hallway because the contractions were just so bad, and like my pelvis in the back hurt so bad. It was unbelievable. I was having a lot of lower back pain, and so I went back to my room and I bounced on the ball for a little bit until they got my birthing tub ready. And I got in my birthing tub and I was relaxing, and then I was like, holy crap, I need to pee, like, and I need to go number 2. And so like they got me up, they brought me to the bathroom, and I felt so comfortable on the toilet. I literally feel like if I could have given birth on the toilet, that I would have had Liam completely vaginal. It would have been completely natural, that I would not have had to have a C-section. But unfortunately, like, you really can't give birth to your kid on the toilet. Even though, I don't know why, I just felt so comfortable there. It was like, oh my gosh, I could just relax. Like, it just was really comfortable to me. I don't know why. So, I got back in the birthing tub, and I kept telling him, like, I just want to go sit on the toilet. Like, please just let me go sit on the toilet. And they're like, no. And I kept trying to use the excuse, like, oh, I need to pee. They're like, nope, just pee in the water. Pee is sterile. Like, the baby's fine. And they had like this fishing net for like any poop that came out, you know, whenever I was pushing. But when I was dilated to a 7, like, my contractions were really, really bad. And when I was in the birthing pool, my midwife was like running the water like over my belly. Oh, it felt so good. And I was having a really hard time concentrating because I had been up all night long. Like, I did not get hardly any sleep. I was walking and I was exhausted. We had been at it all day. And I was up previously, like the day of the 2nd, May 2nd, which was like the day of my appointment. I had been up since like 6 or 7 in the morning because I had Cora, which is my niece. It's Kayla's daughter. I had her really early in the morning. And because I think that Kayla and Nick had an appointment or something, I can't exactly remember. I was super tired and I could not concentrate. And the nurse, her name was Amy, and she told me to just breathe. And she was like, she was breathing with me, which was really, really nice. And so was Kayla, and Kayla's pregnant with her second daughter at the time. And like we were all breathing like over and over and over again, and I don't know what it was about it, but it was just so soothing, and it calmed me, and I fell asleep for like 3 minutes in the birthing tub and woke back up, and it was just a really long drawn out process. But the reason that I wanted in the birthing pool so fast and like so early, because typically you wait until like you're close to pushing to get in the birthing pool, but I was having such bad pain that my midwife said that probably would help, like such bad pain in my pelvis, and so she said that would help. And so I got in there, and like I started having this really bad pressure. Like it felt like my body was like trying to push him out by itself. And I asked the doctor, like, is it okay? Like, I feel like I'm pushing. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be. And she's like, no, don't push yet. Don't push yet. And she's like, let's check you. And so she checked me. She got me out. She got me in the bed. And she checked me, and I was still at a 7. And I guess that, like, what my midwife had said afterwards is that babies who are facing posterior, which means, like, face up, rather than being faced to either side, that your body feels like it needs to start pushing at a 7 just because their head is in there the wrong way. Why? I have no idea. That's just what my midwife had told me. And we could not turn him. She had tried to move him and tried to help him get out, but it just was not working. I continued staying in the birthing tub for quite a while, at least a couple hours, because it was all through that day. Well, it was like later in the afternoon that I had gotten in the birthing pool of the 3rd, May 3rd. So I had already been in labor, like in active labor for like 24 hours. And so it was like getting dark outside, like 8, 9 o'clock, sometime around there. And my body was like still pushing. And like at that time, she's like, you know what, if you feel like you need to push, you could push. And so I was pushing, and finally like I was dilated to a 10. And because of the way he was, like when I was in the birthing tub too, like when I was still dilated to a 7, we seen like this much of his head. Like my sister, she's a photographer, she got a picture of his hair. Like we could see the top of his head. And I had such bad pain on my pelvis because like I was like squatting almost like on my knees, and like I was trembling so bad. My tailbone, I literally thought it was gonna break. And so I moved to like the side of the bed, or not the side of the bed, sorry, like the side of the tub, and he went back up and turned. How he did that, I have no idea. My midwife did not know. Like it was just, and like when he had turned, like his head was still like this, but his head turned like this. So that's what I mean, like when I say that he turned, like he went back up and his head turned like this. And so like whenever I would try to push, he was like pushing like this. So it was like pushing his head down on his shoulder. And so like he was trying to come out like this, which is not how they're supposed to. And like normally they come out by like the top of their head, and he was trying to come out like this. It was a lot. And I had been pushing for hours, and like my sister and my mom kept letting like my family know how I was doing. And my dad, he was so funny. He's like, oh, tell her to just wait. What's another hour? What's another 5 hours? Make sure he's born on my birthday. And I would tell him to screw off. Like, that is not funny. I'm not giving birth to him that late. And I kept asking my midwife too, like, when is this going to be over? Like, am I almost done? How much further do I have to go? How much longer? Like 10 minutes? An hour? Like, I can't do this anymore. And she's like, no, you've got this. You've got this. And She got me out of the birthing tub, because at that point, like, they were checking him, obviously, like the heartbeat, everything like that, just making sure that he was okay. But because I had been contracting for so long, because I had been pushing for so long, they wanted to get him out. And they had me on like a squatting stool. They had me kneeling on the bed, like leaning, like holding onto like the back of it. They had me sitting on the bed, like with the blanket, like pulling it. They had people like holding my legs. She had me like squatting off the side of the bed. She had me like kneel against that freaking that ball. It was ridiculous. Like every single position I think that is known to man, I probably did to try to get that child out. And after 6.5 hours of pushing, my midwife was like, you know what, we can't get this baby out. And she had tried to go in there and like help, like because she said that he was like stuck like almost on my cervix, and that like she couldn't get him to move, and so she was just gonna try to help like ease him out. And she like had her hand in there. I don't know, she said he was like stuck on a lip, I don't know, but like she couldn't get him out, and so she decided to bring in another doctor. And he was not a midwife whatsoever, and he actually had thought that I had the epidural. He did not realize that I was completely non-medicated, that the only thing that they had me on was just fluids and antibiotic, because my water had been broke for so long, and because there was meconium stool in the amniotic fluid that was like coming out still. So at that point, she told me that she was going to go and get him, and that we had to try the forceps or the vacuum, and that if that did not work, that I would have to have a C-section, an emergency C-section. And so the doctor comes in, and I just remember like watching him walk in the room and grab the large gloves and like stretch them on his hands, like just big freaking meaty hands, like huge hands. And he's like, all right, honey, so what we're going to do is I need you to decide if you want the forceps or the vacuum. And I told him I did not want the forceps. I did not agree with that in my birth plan. I do not want the forceps. I want the vacuum. And if I don't, like if that does not work, then I want to have a C-section. And he understood. And he made me aware that they had a 3 pop-off rule at their hospital. And so what a pop-off is that whenever, like, they suction it to the baby's head, because it's like a suction like this, that's like that thick, and it sticks to like the top of the baby's head, and it's got like this cord with like a handle on it, like a handle that kind of looks like this. And so he like pumps it to create like pressure on there to stick to the baby's head, and then as you push, he pulls. And what happened was he's like, oh, I'm going to wait until your contractions start, and when you push, I'll pull. He did not. The second he got done talking, he did not wait for my contraction. He shoved it up there, suctioned it to Liam's head, and he pulled like a motherfucker. And like, he like turned and faced like the same way that I was. Like, if I'm facing this way, he turned around and he faced that way too. And he was reefing. Like, he was pulling so damn hard. I was screaming from the pain. Like, the nurse was telling me to be quiet, to stop screaming, so I was going to scare the other patients. And just like all this crap. And like, my mom was like about to pass out on the floor, because the doctor, like, after it was like 2 or 3 pop-offs, he turns around and like faces me, and he's like freaking reefing, and like another pop-off, and he ended up doing 5 pop-offs. But like, his face was like splattered in my blood. His shirt was like splattered in blood from the from the vacuum, and it was just very gruesome, and it hurt like hell. And my doctor, because like while I was pushing, obviously, which is just known to man, is completely natural, but like you poop a little bit, TMI. But she was like wiping with this rag, and she like used that same rag but like a different side of it to like wipe his face off, like the blood off. And he realized that. He's like, what the F are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, like I was using another part. And like, that was like, haha, karma's a bitch, you know? And while the doctor is like yanking on this vacuum, while I'm trying to push and like while I'm screaming my lungs out, Kayla goes out of the room because she couldn't be in there. She was just too upset. And like it was a lot to handle. It was a lot to watch. It was a lot to be part of, and it was really scary. Honestly, it was scary. And she comes in and she starts crying. Like she looks at my butt and then like she looks at me. She starts crying. She walks back out. She walks back in, and I think she's on the phone with my dad or someone. But she's like, "Oh my gosh, they said that they're gonna get her prepped for a C-section. You better get here soon." And then like she walked out and then she walked back in. And at that point, then after 5 pop-offs, like my mom was kneeling on the floor because she was literally about to pass out. And at that point, my mom said, "You know what? You're done. You're not doing this vacuum tour again. Like, figure something else out." And so he's like, "All right, well, we'll try the forceps then." And so he takes the vacuum, he sets it on his little freaking rolly cart table, and he grabs the forceps. They look like giant freaking salad tongs. I mean, literally, they're probably like this big. Like, they are huge. And, like, a piece. Like the freaking, like, the scoop part of them is. And he like wedges one in there and like wedges it, and he like gets it in there and he tries to pull and he turns it and he tries to pull and he turns it and he tries to pull, and it didn't work. And so he like carefully took him out and set him back on his table. He's like, "Well, honey, I can't get this baby out vaginally." And I was like, no shit. Like, I was so mad at that point. Like, I was just getting ticked. And no one was counting with me. Like, whenever I needed to push, like, people are just, "Come on, do it, do it, do it." It's like, no, how long am I supposed to push for? And they're just like, push, 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 push. No, keep pushing. And it's like, I've been pushing for like 20 seconds. I'm the only one counting here in my head. Like, count for me, people. And so I was getting like really, really mad and like anxious about that. And yeah, he sets them all down casually and he's like, "Well, we're not going to get this baby out vaginally, so let's get you prepped for C-section." And I told him that I did not want the epidural, and he's like, "Well, unless you don't want to be awake for your son's birth, you have to have an epidural." And so at that point, the person, I forget what he is, anesthesiologist, I think is what they're called, he comes in and he's like, "All right, I need you to hold it really still." And so my midwife like stood up with me, and I didn't even feel it. And he put it right in my back, and my contractions were like back to back. And so like he was really scared that I was gonna move, but I didn't. And like my midwife and then like the nurse and my mom held me really still, just to make sure I didn't, and that like I didn't jump or anything. But then they had me lay down, and I got like 2 hours of sleep. Well, probably about an hour and a half, because they had another person in their surgery room. Okay, so at that point, they had me in a room, I feel like I'm not square on, that you give birth in. And it was just like a different room. I don't know. It might have even been like one of the like recovery rooms for the people that weren't having C-sections, that did have a vaginal birth, because there wasn't really a lot of people there that night. I think that there was only like there's either like 3 or 4 other like women that were there like the same night that I was. 2 had already had their babies, and like 2 other ones I think had their babies the same night as me. And it was kind of crazy because my nurse throughout the entire thing with my midwife, she actually had her little girl the same day that I had Liam, which was pretty cool too. But anyways, back to my story. They let me have a little bit of rest before I could go in and get prepped for my C-section. And my nurse's name was Alicia, I believe, or maybe it was Alyssa, something like that. And she was being so kind. Like, I feel like a dick because at some points, like, I was kind of mean to her. But, like, I was just so exhausted. I was so tired. It was just getting to be too much for me. But I was, and so by that time, from where I had Liam, the town that I had Liam in, from where I live, is about 40 minutes. And that was the closest hospital, well, about 45 minutes. But that's the closest hospital that did water births in the hospital. And they had like a birthing pool for it, like a big birthing portable tub for it. My dad got there within 20 minutes. I mean, he must have been doing double the speed limit or something, or got there extremely fast, because it was like 20, 25 minutes, maybe half hour, and he was already there. And I remember sitting there asking the nurse, Alicia, or like Alyssa, or whatever her name was, and I remember asking her, like, "Is this gonna hurt? Like, am I gonna be okay? Do you feel it, like, when they pull the baby out?" And she told me that she had a C-section also with one of hers, and that it didn't hurt, that it was just the recovery that hurt afterwards, and that it was going to be over before I knew it, and that all I needed to focus on was just getting the baby out, and that that I was going to be able to meet him soon. And so at that point, like, I was really scared. Like, I was terrified because the one thing I didn't expect to happen happened. And I remember trying to sleep, and my mom was sleeping on the couch, and Kayla was sleeping in the chair, and I remember hearing, like, cowboy boots come into my room, and my dad wears cowboy boots, and, like, I woke up instantly, and, like, I was like, oh my God, Dad, like, you're here, and, like, I was bawling my eyes out, and my dad, like, Kayla had told my dad, like, what the doctor did, and so, like, my dad was furious. Like, he wanted to go and beat the shit out of the doctor, which, obviously, he's a smarter man, he would not have done that, but he was upset, and he was very, very, very upset for, like, how it ended up happening, like, my birth did. He was there for me, he gave me a hug and a kiss, and he told me that he'd be waiting out, or that he'd be waiting for when I got out of surgery, and Kayla and my mom both got okayed to come in to my C-section, but my dad was kind of trying to talk Kayla out of it. I think he was just scared, and that he didn't want Kayla to get scared too, because, you know, she was pregnant, she was going to be given birth, and 2 months after I was, you know, and which I completely understand. And she ended up coming in, and so did my mom, and, like, I don't really remember, like, much about the C-section, just because, like, I was so tired, and, like, the medicine that they had me on, like, I know it was the epidural, but obviously, like, they must have had me on something else too, but, like, I couldn't feel anything, and, like, I feel like I was so out of it. And I remember, like, going into the room, and Kayla and my mom had to get, like, sterilized or whatever, like, get their stuff on in order to come in there with me, and I remember they, like, lift me, like, the sheet or whatever, or no, they told me to, like, move over. What did they do? No, they lifted me, because it was my gallbladder surgery that they told me to move out of the bed. They lifted me, and then, like, they set me down on, like, the surgery table, and they had like, these things that, like, they strap your arms down to, because I guess, like, they have to strap your arms down so that, like, you don't, like, thrash or anything, or, like, take that, like, sheet that they have, like, hung up here, because they have, like, 2 poles, like, on the side of, like, the surgery table, and then, like, a curtain thing here, so that, like, you can't see what's happening, just because, like, you don't really want to watch that. And I remember the surgery room being so cold. It was unbelievably cold in there. It was really cold. And I was, like, shaking really bad and shivering really bad, like, to the point where, like, my teeth were chattering. But the doctor said that is completely normal, that it might be a side effect from, like, the trauma that they were doing of, like, the C-section at the time, or it might have been, like, a side effect from the epidural, but either way, I ended up being totally okay. But yeah, they had my arm stepped down, and the first thing that I heard them say, because, like, I was just sitting there, and then Kayla and my mom got to come in, and Kayla was, like, my mom was right here by me, like, Kayla and my midwife were, like, up on my head, and, like, my midwife was, like, playing with my hair or whatever, like, petting my head, like, telling me what a good job I did, and, like, she was almost in tears. She was really upset that she couldn't get Liam out, and she knew that I was a little upset. But at that point, you really have to do what's best for the baby, and that's what made him out alive. That's what got him out safe. That's what got me out safe. And so ultimately, that was the only thing that we could do. And, like, I'm okay with that. I'm at ease with that. Like, I would not have had it any other way. Like, I'm okay with it. You know, I'm not saddened because I didn't get my water birth. It wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right baby. So it's like, you know what? It's okay that I had a C-section. It's okay that things ended the way that they did. And, like, I am satisfied with my birth because I tried, and I could not have tried more for that water birth. I tried as hard as I could, and ultimately that's the only thing that matters. And I kind of feel like I kind of got both, just because I really got to experience, like, the pushing and the pain and all of that too, along with, like, the C-section. So I kind of feel like I had, like both of them, you know, which is pretty neat. But anyways, the first thing that I heard them say is, is, oh, look at his lips, like when they were cutting me open or whatever, or like when they were grabbing him, I don't know. But I guess like whenever they like cut my uterus open, the first thing that they seen was him going like this. He was doing like little fish lips. And like I thought that was really, really cool, but like the fact that like his mouth was just like right there was like, it's like holy crap. But yeah, he was definitely posterior, definitely facing up. Then I just remember him crying, and like he had such a deep cry, it was unbelievable. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, does he have hair? Like, what's he look like? And they're like, he looks just like you, Becky, he looks just like you. And he has like no hair, and he's so handsome. And like they lowered the curtain, and like my arms, like they let one of my arms go, and they like, no, they let this arm go, and like I got to like hold him kind of by me, like my mom held him, like, and I kind of got to like hold him like this. But like when they lowered the curtain, I seen him, and like he had his like arms out like this, and he was like trying to like grab, and like same with his feet, and like he looked like this monstrous huge baby. I'll insert the picture right here. Is that crazy? Like he was such a huge baby. And they gave him to me, like they wrapped him up or whatever, and like they let me hold him, and then they took him over and they measured his chest and they measured his length, and he was 22.5 inches long. His chest size was 14, his head was 14, and what else? Then they were gonna wait until I got upstairs to weigh him, but they got like all of the doctors were like guessing his weight, and some of the doctors are like 10 pounds, like 9.5 pounds, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, holy crap, like do you really think he's that big? And like he looked like the size of like the average 1-month-old. Like he was big, he was a big boy. So when we got upstairs or whatever, like everybody was waiting in my room. It was kind of like hard because like I really wanted like that time with Liam first, you know, to get a chance to weigh him, to breastfeed him, and then have everybody come in the room because he was still crying because he wanted to eat. And everybody was there. I didn't get a chance to do that right away. And like the only thing that though I do remember, sorry I'm kind of like scattering all over the place, but the only thing that I do remember like coming back up from the surgery room is like I kept asking like, where's Liam, where's the baby, where's the baby? And they're like, nope, he's right here, he's right here. And like they had his bassinet like right by my head, like when they were wheeling him, which was amazing. Like I am really glad that they do that because it was really nice to know that he was just right there by me. And but I remember like going to my room, like coming out of the elevator and like looking and like seeing that beautiful, beautiful sunset that of like the morning of the 4th, which was my dad's birthday. And Liam was actually born at 4:53 a.m. on May 4th, on my dad's birthday. It was super crazy. And yeah, I used to remember that beautiful sunset. Like every time I think about it, gosh, that sunset was beautiful. Like it was purple and pink and yellow, and it was gorgeous looking out that window. And yeah, then like they wheeled me back to my room, and they weighed him while everybody was in there, and he weighed 9 pounds 13 ounces. I think it was 13.1 ounces. Well, actually I'm not going to insert a picture because I think his little butt shows, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, he was quite the chunk. Like he was a big, big boy. But after that, I got to spend alone time with him. Like everybody ended up leaving because they were all tired because they had been up since like midnight, 1 o'clock too. And I don't know, it was a really, really great experience. But I definitely am at peace with how my birth went. And yes, it was kind of a horror story, but I have good hopes that the next one is going to be better. But alright guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope that this did not scare you. And just know that like, that how my birth went is not how your birth is going to go. Everybody births differently. It just depends on your body, you know, and I don't know, it really depends on the person. So just know that this is just my experience. This is the birth that I had with my son, and I'm really glad that I got to share it with you guys. I will be talking to you guys soon. Thanks for watching this video. Bye!